What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, I found something that actually it kind of grew on me. So I first started playing this game about an hour ago, and this is one of those games that's kind of complex. Like, it has a lot of moving parts, and the systems are sort of unconventional for the way just about everything works in this game. But if you like things like Unreal World or hardcore survival RPGs or roguelikes, this may be just up your alley. I really like that genre, so this game popped out at me as being somebody that's working on something that's directly in accordance with my interests, and the game is called Mirklurk. Now, in Mirklurk, you're a little guy in a medieval world that apparently you committed crimes against the crown. We start out as like a gangster, and so we committed some kind of crime against the empire or the kingdom, and the penalty for that is that we've been exiled to a place called the Mirk, which is a deadly swamp island where everything is out to kill you. There's really no presence of the military or anything else, so once they drop you off on the shores, you pretty much just have to survive based on your wits alone and the starting contents of the little survival pack they give you as a boon before. You know how a pirate gets one pistol when he gets marooned with one bullet in it? They kind of do that to us in this game as well. They give us like a dagger and a backpack, and they're like, good luck, we don't care if you live or die, bye. So today we're going to play the game for about 30 minutes. We're going to see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list, or if it's one of those games you would rather not play. That's perfectly fine as well. This is definitely going to be a polarizing game. I can tell that straight off the rip, and so if you end up not liking it, that's cool, but for somebody that likes hardcore bushcraft survival games, I like what this game is playing around with. You can find the link to the game down below. Also, you can find a whole bunch of other Nerd Castle links, just in case you wanted to drag yourself through the swamp of my thoughts, and you know, just interact with them, rub your elbows on it. Make sure you bring some kind of hanky or something, though, because I've had complaints from the audience that when you click on my links, your fingers end up greasy. So, you know, just make sure you got some Purell or something. But let's start a new game. So the first thing we got to do is we got to make our character. The game has kind of like a Super Brothers swords and sorcery type art style. I actually really dig that about it. That's one of my favorite pixel art styles, I suppose, is just like the really, really highly detailed world, but the character is sort of like this string bean that moves around. I do need to pick out my hair and my beard. Yeah, we'll give him like the Elvis hair right there, and then we'll just give, I mean, it needs to look like we've been on a prison boat for a long time, so we need a big, bushy beard that shows that we've been abused by the Empire, but we will find our power. From sticks and stones and swamp snakes, we will arise from the ashes. All right, let's dive on in. For crimes against the kingdom, you have been sentenced to exile. In the narrow confinements of a prison ship, you are transported to a newly established garrison. Soon you'll be left to fend for yourself. Rumor has it most survive less than a week in the vast swamplands known as the Mirk. The ship departs and leaves you on the narrow dock. So here we are on the dock. We've been dropped off at the Imperial Garrison. So a couple things, like this game has a very busy UI full of information that you need to be aware of. I'll try to talk about it as it becomes relevant to what it is that we're trying to do, but really all you need to know is that well-being, you don't want that to go down to 0. Well-being is an amalgamation of like your focus, how satiated you are, how much stamina you have left, your warmth and your comfort. You can freeze to death, you can get stabbed to death, you can get eaten by monsters, you can eat poisonous food and then just slowly die that way. It's a game that's full of hazards that are trying to murder you inside of your little gray unitard over here. But the first thing that we got to do is we got to talk to the swamp captain. I don't know what she did in the overall military that got her posted here, but she must have really screwed up, dude. This is so much worse than having to like mop the rain or lick a rock. Long live the queen, unwanted. She greets you with a sign. Welcome to the Mirk. My name is Ire, and I'm in charge of this not so glorious outpost. According to the laws of the kingdom, I have less than 0 obligations towards you, unwanted, but let's just say that I have a tender spot for somebody who will more than likely be dead inside of a week. I will grant you a backpack with items to get you started. This is the one and only charity you will ever receive out here. Understood? Now let me tell you about the few rules we have and offer some advice. Alright, so she told us about a bunch of other unwanted that were on the ship with us that have already struck out for the inland. She gave us a map that we can take a look at to try to go find their camp, just in case they want to be our friends. I mean, we are all brothers in crime, but as it stands right now, we have nothing but a shoddy dagger, and it looks like we've got about 100 turns until nighttime gets here. We have 1 loaf of bread that should be enough to get us through our first day out in the swamp. but we're gonna need to try to secure our future. Now, we do have a couple of boons going for us at the moment. We have a sleeping roll, so we can sleep wherever we like. We've got a map, and then one of the things that you gotta kind of like press her for information, but there's a wizard that lives down in the basement. He will buy just about anything that you give him for money, and he does have a stockpile of items that will make your life a lot easier. Things like logging axes, things like robes, things that'll make you warmer or more comfortable or make your harvesting go a little bit faster. We have no money right now because we're absolutely destitute, so let's go ahead and head on into the map. Now, what are the basic systems by which this game functions? It's pretty simple. If you've ever played XCOM, it's like that, except one turn streams into the next. So we have our AP up at the top of the screen, and the little number you see when we walk around, that's how many AP it's costing us to traverse across those tiles. Everything in this game will be denoted similarly, so keep that in mind as you play. Now, before nightfall gets here, we've got a couple of things that we need to accomplish. We need to secure a fire so that we can stay warm throughout the night. On top of that, we also need to come up with a food source to sustain us after we get done with our loaf of bread. It might not be a terrible idea for us to look around for a couple of valuables, and those are going to be all the things that we need to get done on day one. So let's head into the swamp, I suppose. Different tiles, they are going to cost you different amounts of AP. Pay attention to that as you move around. You do have a little button down here called Examine. If you see something laying on a tile and it looks particularly interesting to you, there's no harm in investigating that. And in fact, the game will reward you for investigating that a lot of the time by giving you items. You can investigate anything. You can investigate the grass. You can investigate the trees. You can investigate these craggy rocks over here. You'll start to get a vibe as you play this game for what stuff gives you the highest chance of success while you're going through. Hey, we've got flint. Very nice. Okay, so that's one of the items that we really desperately need before nighttime gets here. On top of that, this game keeps track of how wet the wood is that you're harvesting. So, for example, this wood right here, these twigs, you see how it has greenery on it? That means that it's wet wood, and the game doesn't do like a super great job at explaining this mechanic to the player, but we need to find dead wood. We need to find wood that's fallen from trees that is completely and totally dead. Otherwise, we're going to have a bad time when it comes time to light our fire. So let's go around down this way through the grasslands. I may investigate. How many turns do I have left till nightfall? This is 8 turns out of 100 that we've gone through. Before we even got down here, watch out for water. It will get you wet to the part of your body that makes contact with the water. So if you go into shallow water, it'll be your socks. It'll be your cloth shoes. If you go into slightly deeper water, it's going to be your pants. And if you end up completely submerged, it's going to be your shirt. It's going to become very, very difficult for you to get yourself dry. I'll probably check around these rocks right here just to see if we find anything. We did find some maggots, and we did find a large beetle. They're sellable, so I'll go ahead and grab them real fast. We found a snake inside of there, which is real unfortunate. I wish we had not found a snake, but a snake we did indeed find. Now, the snake is probably going to chew us up pretty good, but if we click on him, this gives me an opportunity to introduce you guys to the way that the combat system works in this game. So the combat system in this game is actually pretty interesting. Everyone's HP is described as a grid of squares, and every attack in this game has a different geometric shape, a la something like Tetris. And you've got to pick and choose what you want to defend based on the logic of where you think your opponent is going to try to put his grid. Now, against this snake, he only hits us for 1 damage, so that's not that big of a deal. We need to pick what of his we want to strike. Oh, never mind. He gets the first bite, and he poisoned us up pretty good. So we're going to get eaten here, but we've struck that right there, and you can see that with bleeding damage or slashing damage, that'll go away on his next turn. He has poisoned 2 of our squares right there because he just keeps critting like the little bastard animal that he is, but now he's dead. We got 10 XP, and we get to harvest his snake meat. And it makes a fun little fart noise when his body despawns. Let's see if we can find anything in these rocks and stone. We found an emerald. That might be helpful. Anything over here? We found some cypress twigs. It's got greenery on it, though, which doesn't make me particularly happy. Where was the camp at? It looks like the camp is up and to the right. I don't know if I want to try to make it to the camp tonight. We do want to avoid combat because we're pretty beat to hell right now, and I would rather not be further beat to hell if I can manage it. Is that anything useful right there? No, it looked like a log. You see this icon that popped up? That's going to be our energy. So there are multiple little nested meters right here that we need to keep track of. If you pass a turn while having full AP, it'll restore your stamina. Every interaction in this game is going to need a certain amount of stamina in order to perform that action. And then you also have focus. If either of these 2 meters are low, you're going to start having accidents. So when you go to strike your fire, for example, you might cut your hand with your knife while you're trying to strike your flint. Or when you try to step over an obstruction, you might slip and fall, thus wasting your next turn and all of your AP. These are all things that you kind of want to keep your eye on. I wish I could see a little bit further. I need to find a dead tree. That's what I need to do very, very badly. Let's walk up this way. Watch out for these brambles right here. They'll scratch you up and take your HP. I don't see any dead Is that a dead tree? That is not a dead tree, but that one's dead as hell right there. Okay, this tree right here is going to be our opportunity to prepare for tonight. So I'm going to use my knife, and we're going to try to harvest off this dead willow tree as much as we can. So cut that down, and then cut that down. And then if you can, get that branch right there. Perfect. Now we should have enough fire supplies to make it through the night. I want branches. Those are what I'm mostly interested in because those light fires a little bit better. There we go. Let me get the branches, not the twigs. The twigs are good for kindling, but they're not good for much else. It closed all my windows on me. There we go. You can move all of these windows. There's a little hand that'll slide up right here just in case you want to move these windows around so that you can keep them in spots anchored that you like to have them inside of. I like to play with this menu open while I'm playing the game, and so I keep hitting escape though, which makes everything close down. That's really the sin that I keep committing, is that in this game, hitting escape doesn't just close your active menu, it closes every single menu that you have open. I do have a few twigs for lighting a fire, so that should be good. And then I'll just gather the remainder of these up right here. And I do want to check this little craggy mass up on this side. Craggy mass, do you have anything good? We found fool's gold. I'll take that. I don't really want the beetles or the maggots. I don't really care about those. Yeah, still don't care about the beetles and the maggots. I will take an extra flint, though, just for striking. And there's a dead guy over there. However, it looks like we've got a rat or something that's cruising around. So we're going to need to be careful about going over to see how I slipped and fell right there. Now I got to wait a turn and use, like, all of my AP because I wasn't paying attention to my bars. One suggestion I might have is that for the stuff that affects your chance to slip and fall or have accidents, I feel like that should be a meter, like, underneath your character or something. I know why they didn't do it that way from a UI design standpoint. It's because if there's an enemy beneath you or to the left or to the right of you, you wouldn't be able to see it with the meters right there. But still, while not in combat, I would like to have those meters displayed so that I can see them. Maybe like a toggleable option or something like that. I don't know if this rat is going to murder me when I go near him. I was walking in water a little bit right there, but this dead body, he's got another shoddy dagger. I don't really care about that. That's not that helpful. But let's see if we can make it to the exile camp, because I think our first day has actually gone pretty successfully right now. We need to keep an eye out for, like, I heard something. What did I just hear? Oh, there they are right there. And as it turns out, it looks like all of the survivors got wiped out. Now, the downside here is, while chilling at half health, the problem we're going to run into is that if this snake crits me twice, I'm just going to die. Technically, I should be able to take him, but it's hard to say. It sort of depends how dodgy he's going to get when we rock up on him. I was going to see, can I get him to aggro from there? We did get an armor point on this one because we have the initiative, so that's good. An armor point negates 1 damage that's dealt to that tile. I'm just going to wait right here and let him close the gap so that I get a free attack on him. There we go. He struck us, but our armor should eat that first hit. Oh, never mind. Poison goes through armor. I learned something today. That makes sense logically. I'm not going to get that upset about it. Where did my snake meat go? There was 2 snake meats right there. Did they stack up? I think they just disappeared on me. I don't know. It says I only have 1 snake meat, so maybe a bug? Not too sure. But dead guy over here has an herbalist belt, which will be really nice. With my bags, can I drag those to the front real fast? Where's my new bag at? There it is right there. So now we've got another bag for holding stuff. I'm going to use this for things that I'm just going to vendor when we get back to the wizard. So we've got like a bunch of fool's gold. What is that noise? You guys hear that thumping? There might be a troll over here. That would be super bad. We've also got a wound salve. I would probably just use that as soon as we've got the AP to utilize it. But let's loot this other dead guy. Inside the cart, they have a loaf of bread. That's good. Let me end my turn real quick, and we'll just eat this entire bread now. There we go. We also got a torch, which will be good, because that means we can go down into murky, scary caves. We can fit that right there. And then I need to loot this other dead guy. There are no signs of life. You can't see any visible wounds nor a drop of blood. You notice that a recorder is clutched in his left hand. Okay, we can't loot any of that. The recorder takes up 3 slots, so I need to clean up my inventory ever so slightly if I want to pick up the recorder. There we go. Pick up the recorder, and it's got the word ire carved into the wood. The lifeless body continues staring blankly into the sky. There is a free campfire right here, which I'm pretty stoked about. We may want to cook off some dinner. We did get a free bread, so that's really nice. I also think I need to see to my wounds. My wounds are kind of beat up right now. So let's get our AP back right there, and then we will probably apply that directly to my hit points. It gives us 3 back. I will take those 3 back right there. We're sitting on 2 HP, so that's not a great place to be as far as our own personal safety goes. Now, lighting fires in this game, it's not super well explained to the player. It took me probably a solid 20 minutes of fiddling around with it before I figured out exactly how to light fires, maintain fires, tend fires, all that kind of stuff. But I will explain it to you so that when you go to play this demo, it's nice and easy peasy. Everybody loves lighting things on fire, so it's the least I can do as your buddy on the internet to teach you how to light stuff on fire because it's awesome. So after arranging my fiddledy-diddledy inventory, I'm actually just going to take that campfire with me because we need to go back to the main camp and question them about what happened to these survivors and like why one of them has a flute with the captain's name carved on it. It may just be a creepy crush. It's very difficult to tell at this junction, but in the case that it's not, and it's actually a requisite piece of information that we need to investigate, in order to increase our chances of survival, I got to go back to the camp anyways in order to sell off all my garbage, so that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes you're going to find little rock outcrops that look like that. They'll have a door on the front of them. My recommendation is don't go inside of there until you feel like you're really ready to go inside of there. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Let me get some energy back real quick by passing some turns. And then, I don't remember how far to the left this was, but I think we just need to find the coastline, and then we should be good, so long as I don't step in any bramble patches. And the good news is, as I rocked up in here, the guards killed off one of the bugs that was blocking my passage. Good, we actually had time to do all the things that I wanted to do. Let's go down to the basement, we'll talk to the wizard, and we'll see if we can get ourselves some better tools. The air is thick and stale. The Magus moves around restlessly while fidgeting with his hands. Unless it has something for me, it shouldn't disturb. So what does it bring me? We can trade with him. I will gladly spend the kingdom's copper. My research will one day benefit all magi, he says, while rubbing his hands greedily. I'm going to sell him the dagger. I'm going to sell him the emerald because that actually brings in a bunch of cash. I'll probably sell him some fool's gold as well because we really only use that as a strike ignition source for lighting fires. And so right here at the beginning of the game, dude, it's looking like, yeah, bring in that money. Oh, money takes up a lot of space, though. All right, good to know, good to know. So I've pretty well sold off everything that I have at the moment, and it left us with a couple of silver. We're going to need 3 silver and 50 copper to buy a new backpack, which is really what I want out here. But if we can find another emerald, that'll go pretty easily. We're 4 copper shy of being able to get an iron hand axe, which would make us much more deadly in combat. Triple our damage output, essentially. We could get in here and we could get another wound salve in order to fix ourselves up. I think that's a solid idea. And I don't know what's going to happen if I overpay. Okay, it does break change for me. That's good to know. I wasn't sure, man. He seems like a little bit of a crazy mage, so I wasn't completely and totally sure if he was going to go for it. But we've got wound salves now, so that's good. We'll say goodbye to him, and then we'll go back outside because we're banished from being inside the walls once night comes, so they're going to shoot us. That recorder, she says, and instantly snatches it from your hand. I gave this to... it doesn't matter anymore. I take it you found them both dead? A strange glowing rift, you say, and it seems to be killing everything around it. It's strange indeed. Come back to me tomorrow. I need to deliberate. Okay, we'll come back tomorrow. It's whatever. I just wanted to have room so that I could have dinner ready to rock. And then we have stones, we have branches. I think if I gather up like a little bit, I'm going to throw those twigs out. If I gather up some of these fibers right here, I think I can make a new weapon. Like, I can make like a beat stick, which would be super good for us too. Okay, let's get a little bit further away from the city walls to make sure... Oh, I slipped and fell in mud. Beautiful. Let's go over here, and I'll just make my camp right here. Hopefully this is far enough away that they won't get upset with me for being over here. I'm going to set up all of my little excursionary supplements just to get them out of my inventory and give me a little bit of space. There's a crab over there. I wonder how tough crabs are. And this is where we're going to break open our menu. So I need more plant fibers so that I can make twine. Let's work on that for a minute. We'll grab that right there. I don't know how many twines I'm going to end up needing, but either way, we've got enough now to make our first club, I think. And so with a stone club, it's going to take willow branches and rocks. It takes all 8 of our AP to get that done. But now we have a beat stick. It has a chance to do 0 damage, but it's only like a 25% chance. Technically a 20% chance because 0 counts here too. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 options for every swing. But if you look at the damage grid that it has, it can deal a lot of damage in like an AoE inside the enemy's grid, which is just flatly better than the knife that we're currently wielding. Even the chance for that to happen is better than the knife that we're currently wielding. So I'll put that inside my inventory. We'll hold on to the dagger because we still need some kind of steel in order to strike a fire. And now that the sun is going down, let me wait a couple turns and get my energy back, because I don't know if you've noticed, but look, our warmth is going down and our focus is running out as well because it's been a long day in the field. So lighting fires in this game. Lighting fires in this game, kind of interesting. So, like, we need to, first of all, we need to put in our flint right there. That gives us a 25% chance to strike. We put in our dagger. Now we've got a 33% chance to strike. We put in some twigs, and we've got a 32% chance to start a fire. There it is. So we managed to light a fire. Now what we need to do is if we clear all of that out and we put in one of those branches right there, we've only got a 4% chance for that to add to our fire, unfortunately. So we're going to need to ignite more stuff in order to make this work. Like, basically, your fire needs to be big enough that it burns up the stuff that you put inside of it. And so we're up to a 23% chance to add to our fire now. We're getting there. So now I should be able to take those out, and now I should be able to just hand feed it, because I'm not having to light everything up with each push. There we go. Get me up higher, man. Get me up higher. Trying to warm up right now. Perfect. And then we'll take that branch, light it up, and that's looking pretty good. We've got a 94% chance to ignite right now. I would suggest that we come over to this tree right here, and we try to harvest what we can off of it. There's a chance that none of this stuff is going to be a super good grab because this tree's alive. You pass a turn, and I'll get that larger branch right there. All right, that should be good enough. Yeah, these are a little bit wet, which is going to lower our chance of being able to feed them into the fire, but it'll have to do for right now. We're already down to like a 65% chance to be able to add the wood on in there, so that's life. The good news is we now have a perfect chance to light fire. The fire has now been kindled, it's grown, it's gotten a little bit larger, so no matter what we throw in there, it's gonna burn. So now we need to just spend some time making sure that this lasts all night, because we've got 68 turns till dusk comes around. And so let's see what we can do here. Get that big branch right there. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. All right, load everything into our inventory that we possibly can. We just got to go back to the fire before it hits 10, because that means we'll have lower than 100% chance to throw stuff in here. Is that seriously all fitting inside my inventory? Shocking. I didn't expect that all to fit. All right, well, it'll have to do. Grab everything you possibly can. Okay. And so now we should have enough fire stuffs to make this last. So we've got enough fire for 42 turns. That should be good. That'll last us most of the night. Like, we're in the dusk phase right now. But I also needed to cook off some dinner. So we've got grilled bug meat over here. I would strongly recommend making that. And then make the snake meat too. I don't know if it's going to mess with my well-being or anything. We have a 3% chance of getting sick when we eat the bug meat. I'm just going to eat it now and hope for the best. I'm also going to eat the snake meat, get our energy back, and now we're just going to sleep until sunrise under the warmth of our fire. Should last for a little bit. Something over here was making a noise that wakes me up, like some kind of splashy thing is happening. I made it mostly till morning, so that's good, but something over here was disturbing our sleep. Let's get back to searching around for anything that might be valuable to the wizard. I don't think he's going to want rocks. I'm just going to leave my camp over there so that I don't have to worry about it being inside my inventory for right now, because our inventory is a little bit too limited to be reliable at the moment. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I needed to talk to the captain in the morning, huh? All right, well, as the sun comes up, let's go back and talk to the captain real quick and see what she's got to say. Hopefully I don't get shot in the face. After some consideration and communication with my superiors, I've decided to ask for your assistance. Talk to Clay in the basement. He's going to give you further instructions. Okay. Clay. Yes, yes, yes. I know how to make use of your puny skills. Investigate. The task is simple, and even it should be able to comply. Find living samples of, well, anything that's been exposed to the glow. My almost certainly correct guess is that it'll be glowing as well. Return with 3 samples. Yes, yes, that should be enough. Closer to the rift should increase its chances. Okay. I will do my best to make that happen, but no promises. I gotta kind of like stock up on stuff for the night. I think today I'll probably go east from the fort and just see if we can find any dead bodies. Dead bodies are a really good way for us to get extra equipment that like makes our character stronger. How much health did I get back from sleeping? All of it? Good. How strong is a crab? I have questions. Oh, he's armored. Okay. Let's bash him. So we hit for 2 right there. How hard does he hit? Put my armor point right there. Okay, done. Well, I mean, it saved one of them. There we go. We're knocking off armor. We're getting it done, although the crab kind of hurts. Like, he's not real friendly. Ow! Die! All right, so we've killed off the crab, and we got some crab meat. So that should be dinner for tonight without too many problems. My energy is toast. I'm thinking that swinging this club is actually pretty difficult. But then again, everything in this game is difficult. Like, eating bread costs you stamina. Like, taking your hands from your backpack to your mouth with a loaf of bread in it costs you strength in this game. And so it's one of those games that's really kind of brutal in that regard. Let's continue. I don't really care about that. We need to find, like, big stone outcrops, though, and dead guys. Those are the 2 things. No, don't go down into the water, you idiot. What'd you do that for? Now we're all wet and we're freezing, dude. Can't believe you've done this. All right, well, there's a dead guy right there, which is good for us. There's also a nest right here, and it's got some eggies inside of it, so I'll take those. We need feathers for fletching later on. What does this guy have? 1 silver coin, a singular silver coin. I mean, kind of the same thing as finding a gemstone, but more efficient because I don't have to go back to town to sell it. Dead guy, what have you got? Ooh, a leather vest. Hell yeah. And an arrow. I'll probably just sell the arrow, but the leather vest is good. Let's put that on. There we go. Now we got a little bit of armor on our character. It gives us 2 more armor selections when we go into combat. Hell yeah. That's one thing I very much like about the way that this game works. It's like really logical. When a thing says that it gives you 2 armor, it actually literally lets you armor 2 of your healths. Like, it's such a easy thing to transcribe, basically. Heal me up with a salve right there. I don't think we're quite ready to go down into a cave just yet. But if I could find a ruin or something over here, I wouldn't mind that. I don't see any more dead guys sort of lackadaisically laying around. It's midday. I need to get back to our camp before too long. That way I can investigate around and figure out... Oh, stepped in the bramble patch. That way I can get like our wood supplies all nice and solidified before we go to bed. I think I also need... I've got like... a lot of money laying around. I need all those copper coins to condense into a silver coin. That would make my life a lot more storable. I mean, I guess we've got some fire supplies over here. We did level up, too. If you bring up your level up menu, most of this stuff is locked for right now. So there's like 5 different categories in which you can dedicate your skill points. Right now we only have Wanderer, but there's other ones. There's like Combat, there's Survivor, there's Hunter, and there's Forager inside of here as well that are going to be in the final version. And each of these just has like a passive inside of it that I've seen so far that allows you to increase your chance of doing certain things like lighting fires or harvesting from enemies, jumping, all those sorts of things. I'll probably just go with Strider because it makes us 8% more efficient at moving around the map. It's not much for now, but once that gets up to like 30 or 40%, it will be. I'm up by the rift, and I gotta kill something that's been affected by the rift. It looks like there's something over here that was affected by it. I saw a rat or something over here. I think it got vaporized by the rift, which is really unfortunate because I was hoping I would just have a fast smash and grab to get what I want. But we did find some ruins over here, which we can, like, scavenge through. So that'll be good. Any emeralds or anything over here? Yeah. An emerald and a ruby and some copper coins. Nice, dude. Something else just got hit over here, too. Go around the water. Ow! There's like a snake right there. I need to grab his bits, but I slipped and fell down an incline. There's also something dead over there, but it's hard to say if that's going to be helpful. Now, the quest is not really specific about what I need to find out here. I got the snake meat, and it doesn't look like there's anything incredibly interesting about the snake meat, except that it's got a really high chance to make me sick, but I haven't cooked it yet. So I don't know if that's baked in or not. Everything else has the same chance. But is there anything in these ruins over here? No. There is a snake over here, but I have armor. Hell yeah. I'm gonna fall back over here and just let him come to me. Step in on him. Oh, I missed. Oh no. There we go. One-shotted him and got ourselves another level up. But this is Mirklurk. I think it's interesting, man. Like that's what I have to say about it, is that like I like little crunchy number games like this one where everything is very, very granular. It makes me happy. Oh, when I hit level 3, I got more health grid. Nice, dude. My grid got bigger. Yay. I have the biggest grid in the realm. Look upon my grid in despair, ye men of lesser grids. I do need to gather some branches, but so far I'm actually intrigued by this one. Like, I can't wait to see what happens with it as it gets further and further towards its finalized release. Like, it pleases me. Can I chop that branch right there? Hold on. Yeah, I want that branch to go. Yep, get all those branches off there. I'm definitely going to need branches. It's too much AP to harvest branches off of there, but I'm going to need them for fire starting tonight. There we go. Get that right there. Nothing inside that one. Is this one accessible? Now that I'm back at camp starting fires again, honestly, my thing that I would point out with this game is that it's so weird that it's just very, very difficult to appraise along that front. Just keep adding more twigs to the fire, and hopefully it works. You know, I think there's novelty in this game, and you guys know me, I'm always very easily convinced by novelty, but I do think there are a lump of things that make it feel a little bit on the cheaper side, or maybe just needs to be streamlined a little bit better. I'm a couple hours into playing the game, and I think overall I liked it. I like any survival RPG that leans into being painful. Just as a personal aside, like Long Dark on Interloper is one of my favorite things in the entire world, but there's a couple of problems here. I think the AP turn system, where you've got X amount of turns in a phase of the day, and each of those turns is comprised by 8 AP, is perfectly fine in theory, but there is a considerable hitch every now and again in between turns, and every now and again it'll kind of like queue up your input so that when it hitches and comes out the other side of it, you waste your next turn's AP on that accidental little click that it queued up. That feels bad, and it happened to me a ton. Honestly, it's one of those strange things where I don't know why the AP meter just doesn't go away when you're not in combat or you're not actively harvesting or something like that. There's got to be a way to streamline it, I suppose. There is a tutorial to this game, but I think certain aspects of it are overly painful, or they're not explained quite as well as they should be, like stoking a fire. I do think searching is kind of unnecessarily click heavy and could probably be reduced down to just like passive perception checks when you move around tiles, and then you can manually search if you really feel like there's something there. Maybe a sparkle pops up when you pass the perception check. There could be talents for it, and then you investigate it. But that is to say, there are definitely some click heavy things in this game that I think could be simplified quite a bit without losing the overall hardcore vibe of the game. I did come across crashes while I was playing, specifically when you drop a backpack on the ground and then you try to loot it. For example, when you swap backpacks, the game will crash when you try to do that. And I think sometimes the game takes simple actions and makes them much more complicated than they need to be. But overall, I did enjoy the setting, the pixel art, the weird combat system with the grid of health squares, and that feeling of slowly crawling your way out of the mud as an exile. All in all, I say it needs some polish passes and probably some refinements to some of its system to keep the flow of the game moving, but let him cook. I like what Mirklurk has going on. My name is Splat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, it was Mirklurk. Tomorrow to be something else. Thanks, folks.